Welcome to Awakenings in Real Life, where we tell inspiring stories of transformation, meaning, and hope. While we typically think of an awakening as a getting up or something religious or spiritual in nature, it's also a recognition, realization, or awareness of something. We're going to share stories of people triumphing over loss, illness, addiction, trauma, bullying, near-death experience, and more. Please enjoy. I'm Dan Cohen, and welcome to Awakenings in Real Life. Our guest today is Sophia DEMAS, who is kind enough to join us here in the studio from Philadelphia. I really appreciate you joining us today.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So let me give the audience a little bit of your background, and then we'll get into your awakening. Sophia DEMAS has enjoyed 3 diverse careers: a decade in architecture, running her own couture fashion business, and working as a mental health therapist in private practice. She also created Living a Fearless Life, a 12-step workshop program designed to increase self-esteem in at-risk women. Sophia did not want to get married, have children, or write a book. The universe, however, had other plans, and now she has written 2 books. In the divine language of coincidence, Sophia chronicles the miracles she has experienced since the age of 19. After discovering the key and turning a coincidence into a potential miracle, she was propelled to share with the world how miracles are accessible to anyone. Her experience related to death and after-death communication are included in her second book, Consciousness Beyond Death, recently released. Sophia lives a happy life with her husband, Frank, in Philadelphia, PA, and I got to meet Frank quickly, and he seems like a very nice man. So my first question that I ask all guests, Sophia, is, what was your awakening in real life?
Okay, I was 19 years old, and I was going through, I had 2 issues I was grappling with.
Okay.
2 existential issues. And I felt that there was no solution. Okay, the first one was I had bought into my mother's story of no sex until marriage. Okay, and marriage was not appealing to me, so I thought, what's going to happen here? Am I going to die a virgin? And the second one is I needed approval of others, okay? And it wasn't that I was like needy, but every once in a while I would meet someone and they wouldn't like me. And I never could understand that. I mean, I'm a nice person. Like, why is this person not liking me? And I was going through something with a schoolmate.
Was that in your head?
No.
Or it was clear they didn't like you?
Clear they didn't like me. And so I was grappling, okay? So then, so what happened with this, what precipitated this awakening was meeting a man and having a dream, very close together. So I met this man who was 27. He was getting his PhD in universal something or other. And and I was very, very attracted to him. And so one night, I have this dream, and it's as vivid as it was then. So I'm on a stage wearing a bride's dress, no groom, and I'm inside a plexiglass booth. And I knew it was plexiglass because I touched it and I went, oh, this is plexiglass. And the audience was, all there, and it was dim lights, and I kept thinking, I'm so grateful that they all came to see me, And then all of a sudden, to my right, 12 girls came out in threes. They were wearing pink and green saris, and they would take their position at a diagonal. And I realized that these girls were my enemies since grade school. But it was like, okay, it doesn't matter. I forgive them. They're here. I forgive them. And they would take their place and curtsy. So I figured that they were my bridesmaids. Okay. And one hissed at me as she curtsied. So all of it, then the minute they were all there, the lights went on and I was in a different room. And this woman was trying to get everybody in a single file to file past me. And so I figured, well, this is the reception line. So people would file past me, but they wouldn't look at me. They would just go straight ahead. Once in a while, somebody would look at me, just turn and look at me. And then two people from the whole line smiled. So I was going through this angst of, oh, are they going to walk past me? Are they going to look at me? Are they going to smile? And then at some point I look down and I'm wearing the same wedding dress, but I'm in a coffin. And so these people were like paying their last respects. I wake up in a complete panic, figuring that this is pretending my imminent death. And what I did without even, it was just from the gut. I walked at 1:30 in the morning. I walked to this man's house that I was so attracted to. And he was up, of course, writing, and he was like an angel, actually. He sat me down and I told him what I had just experienced. And he said to me, this has nothing to do with physical death. You have bought into things that no longer serve you, that need to die, to make room for new behaviors, new thoughts. And I was just blown away. I was just blown away by that. And then he proceeded to read poetry he had written about me and my sexual situation. And I couldn't believe that this man knew everything I was feeling. And, well, doesn't, take any big mystery to know that he was my first sexual experience a week later. A magnificent experience. So
let's hope they should be, right? The first time isn't always. So good for you.
Oh, it was an amazing. So, well, interestingly, after that event, I never cared what anybody thought of me again. I never needed anyone's approval. I became someone else. And also, because, the relationship dissipated within like a couple months. I mean, it's like I was a party girl. He was an intellectual. I can only talk about existential issues for X amount of time. But that was not lost on me. How could this happen? How could this man in this dream awaken me? Okay, awaken
like a
me.
rebirth.
A rebirth. And I felt him to be almost angelic, like he was sent down this was his duty or something.
To give you a message?
To change, and participate in my transformation. So I thought, wow, there must be something bigger out here than just me and my desires. And that's when I started paying attention. And then things would happen. And again, it wasn't like, oh, these are miracles, but something would happen at just the right time to get me exactly what I needed. And then my gut got honed. So the more I acted on this coincidence, and then I got the miracle, exactly what I needed, I began trusting the gut more and more and more. So I would say that's how it started.
Very, very interesting. So you describe it as a coincidence, right, that led to this miracle,
Yes.
if I'm paraphrasing you correctly. And a coincidence is something that happens or shouldn't happen. How would you define a coincidence?
Okay, we can have a coincidence. Like, for
Right.
example, I could be writing on the computer and I write the word extemporaneous. Okay.
Right.
And then just at that exact moment, somebody on the TV uses the word extemporaneous. I mean, I've used the word, but it's not like at the tip of my tongue. And I'm like, wow, that's a coincidence.
Right.
But it has no meaning.
Right.
A meaningful coincidence that I generally call a synchronicity propels you into action. And I could give you some examples.
Yeah, please.
But,
Please do. So there's a coincidence, like you just said. You said something and then someone says it in TV.
okay.
Or there's another one that has meaning. Would you describe as a miracle or not necessarily
No,
a
it's
miracle?
a coincidence. But then, once I take action on that coincidence, then it can become a miracle, a gift.
Please elaborate. That's
Okay,
that's
I'll give
fascinating.
you two examples that happened around our wedding. Okay, so the first one, and then you can tell me which one you think is stranger. So the first one, I dial my friend Anne, and a man answers. And I'm like, is Anne there? That's all I said. Is Anne there? And this guy says, Sophia, is that you? It's Jerry. You called me. Look, I'm really late for a meeting. I just got out of the shower. Can I call you later? Now, I recognized his voice because he has a Greek accent. But how could he recognize my voice? All I said is Anne there. And this man I only know socially, okay? So I said, Jerry, promise me you're going to call me. This is very, very important. Please, I promise. That is the action I took. You know, I could have easily said, oh, forget it. You know, I was the wrong number.
Right.
Okay, so he does call. And at the time, he owned the Barclay Hotel on Rittenhouse Square. Now, Frank and I had, we decided we're getting married on 4th of July, and the date was October 4th. So that's 3 months. All the venues were taken, you know, music, photographers. As a result of him calling me back, he offered the ballroom at the Barclay for free, and then threw in the presidential suite for 2 nights.
Wow.
But he did ask if he and his girlfriend could be invited to the wedding, which I was very happy to do.
If you're getting a ballroom, you could let him come with his girlfriend,
Yes.
right?
And a gorgeous, gorgeous old world ballroom. Okay, so that's the first one. This is as a result of a wrong number. Second one, I get a call from this woman who said, I found your driver's license, and I'd like to know how to get it back to you. It was an Oregon driver's license. So I said, well, where do you live? And well, she lived 2 blocks away. I said, oh, just thank you so much. You know, just slide it through my mail slot. So she does. And there was a lovely little note how Oregon is, she and her boyfriend go to Oregon and loves Oregon. So 2 months later, I get a call from the same woman. And she says, I know you're going to find this a little strange, but I just found your ATM card. Now, I don't go around losing cards like this. And I said, how? And what happened was I would go to a certain ATM that would spit the card right out.
Right.
But this particular ATM kept the card until the end and said, would you like another transaction? And I guess I thought I had it. And so the next person could just wipe out my whole bank account.
Sure.
But it was her.
The same woman
The
who
same
found your
woman
license.
who found, yes, well, I mean, because she lived close by, so I could see, but come on, you know? So she says, would you like me to slide it through your mail slot? I said, no, we've got to meet.
Right.
So I had her come to my studio, and I had some really beautiful handmade soap from Oregon to thank her. As a result of that meeting, we find out that she's a concert violinist, because I had just accepted the fact that it was going to be the church organist that, was going to do the whatever.
Right.
She offered to play my favorite piece, Concierto de Aranjuez, and got her friend who's a concert classical guitarist, because this piece was made for the guitar. And they played Concierto de Aranjuez as I'm walking down the aisle.
Wow.
Now,
Remarkable.
how easy would it have been with her to say, oh, yeah, oh, wow, yeah, isn't this wild? Just put it through the slot. I mean, but it was bigger than me. It was like, no, we've got to meet. And she was amenable, and here's what happened.
So interesting. You describe it as a coincidence.
The coincidence was that she found the card twice.
Twice.
The miracle was me getting my favorite concierto
Right.
as I walked down the aisle. The coincidence is dialing the wrong number.
Right.
And getting somebody who I know. That's a coincidence, a meaningful coincidence. But then to get the ballroom, that's a miracle.
How would you answer someone who said to you, it's not a coincidence, it's meant to be? Because those terms are somewhat different. Is it
Completely
not?
different. You see, unfortunately, God gave us free will. Okay. And so we are responsible for our behavior. So maybe something can be meant to be, but for me, it's okay, I will give you a snapshot of my philosophy.
Please.
Okay, so I believe that there is a divine intelligence,
Okay.
a higher power that knows what's best for us better than we do and communicates with us. We communicate with this divine intelligence by praying, saying please, and then saying thank you and practicing gratitude. This divine intelligence communicates with us through dreams, putting a stranger in front of us that says exactly what we need to hear, or places coincidences in our path.
There's the connection.
And that is the connection. And then you can go, oh, wow, that's a coincidence, and continue, or you can act on it.
I'm curious because when we spoke earlier too, why do you say unfortunately gave us free will? I find that, isn't free will a good thing?
Not when you start a war.
True.
No. So you can use your free will to help other people,
Right.
or you can use your free will to destroy people.
True.
So, when I look around right now and seeing what's happening in the world, how much of this suffering is man-made? People's free will, not a good thing.
Okay. That's interesting. So how did these miracles affect your belief system and what you've made? Because you said you didn't want to get married. A lot of things happened to you. How has these coincidences and miracles affected what you do in life and how you help people? Can you give us some thoughts on that?
Well, I just feel that by having these things come to me when I need it,
Okay.
that's the key, when I need it. And then I take action, and then I get the gift, and then it happens over and over again. Then what happens is that's what creates your belief system. So I actually have it figured out in 3 phases.
Okay.
So phase 1, you live your life through the perspective of wishful thinking. So, oh, I wish for this to happen. Here's
Right.
the coincidence, and you go, oh, wow, what a coincidence. Oh, I wish this could happen. And then another coincidence, and you, oh, wow, and you just continue wishing. Second phase, I would say, is from the perspective of hope. Now you get it. Okay, so, oh, boy, this is quite a coincidence. I'm going to take action, and hopefully I'll get what I need. The third phase, which is difficult, I go in and out, is from the perspective of faith. At that point, you don't worry about anything. I mean, in my book, I actually write about obstacles that I have said to God, God, why are you doing this to me? And how many times, whether the next day or 2-3 years down the road, I have thanked God for that obstacle. So, and so then even the obstacle is a gift.
Because you have the strength to overcome the obstacle?
Well, you don't want this obstacle.
Okay.
You don't want it. I mean, it's like, my Mr. Wonderful. Oh, Mr. Wonderful. Oh my God, I met Mr. Wonderful. And then these things would happen that kept Mr. Wonderful from me.
Right.
This guy was a crazy nutcase. And I thank God that it didn't go any further.
Right? So why do you think you have experienced a number of miracles as opposed to the general population that maybe hasn't? Why do you think you've had these experiences or more of these experiences than other people?
Okay, I've thought of this because a number of events have been remarkable. And I credit my mother. My mother was a very religious person, but also derived her spirituality through her religion and never pushed it on me. But what she would say to me from a toddler now. Greek is my first language.
Okay.
And so by adding a certain suffix to a word, you can make it cute. So for example, you've got puli, which is a bird, and then you add a suffix and it becomes pulaki, the little bird. So what she would say to me is, Sophia, if you want something, just ask little baby Jesus. Because little baby Jesus loves children. And, if it's good for you, you'll get it. And if it's not good for you, he won't let you have it. And then if you're scared, sometimes in the middle of the night, you wake up and you're scared of the night, ask the little Virgin Mary to protect you. And so what happened when I looked back, what she was doing, what I was getting from a toddler is that communicating with unseen beings is perfectly normal. So I've done it just naturally.
Talking to God.
Yeah, or God, or out there. And in my book is not the aim, the goal is not to convert anyone to my belief system. It's just that this is what works for me. So, I have prayers that I say, but there's also, you don't have to say, like a formal prayer. You can just walk down the street and say, I really would like this. And
that's simple.
That's simple. And want it. But if you don't get it, can I tell you an obstacle story?
Sure.
Okay. Honeymoon. This is the honeymoon. So we're going to Mexico for the honeymoon. And we're going to this particular place in the south between Huatulco and Puerto Escondido. And my I had a very close friend, an ex-roommate, who would go there in the summer. And this was run by a cordon bleu chef who owned these 9 huts, clay huts. And he would create these amazing dinners, and it was overlooking a cliff in the ocean, and the photographs were beautiful. So we decided to go there. Now, I had heard that you don't need a passport to go to Mexico.
Maybe then.
Mm-hmm. So we go, it was early in the morning, we go to the airport. The guy at the airport goes, "Where's your passport?" I said, "Oh, you don't have to have a passport to go to Mexico." And he says, "You're right, but you need one to get back to the States." I'm like, what? Now, there was no time to go all the way back.
Sure.
Okay, so, but I could get my birth certificate. They would count that. So we go back. I am as bummed as you could possibly be. Like, how can this happen to me? How can this happen to me? So finally, Frank couldn't do anything to cheer me up. And so then finally he gets this idea, and he says, "I know. Let's take the next plane to Mexico City. We have dinner in Mexico City, and then we take the same plane the next day." Great. So we get on the plane, we go to Mexico City, have a great dinner. Next day, we go to get on the plane to Huatulco, and the guy says, "I'm sorry, that was the last plane. There's a hurricane." I said, "I don't care. This is my honeymoon.
Right.
I want to go down there." And he goes, "Okay, look, there's a flight leaving in 20 minutes in that gate over there for Puerto Escondido." Great. We go into the plane, little tiny plane. Now, my friend who would go to this place that we had, booked,
Right.
she had a very good friend in Puerto Escondido that had this magnificent resort. So the plane is landing, and the palm trees are like this. They're like horizontal. And it was like, okay, this is exciting, And so we find this beautiful resort, and we're having lunch under this thatched pavilion, open air thatched pavilion. So I'm having this delicious soup, but I knew something was amiss because people were getting up and leaving, and the help was scurrying. So I grabbed the waitress. Oh, I know what did it was a piece of this hay went into my soup. That's when I knew that we might be in trouble. Okay. So I said, "We'd like to order something for later." She said, "I'm sorry, the chef is only cooking for us, I said, "What's he making?" And she said, "Potato omelet." I said, "We'll take 2. We had wine from the wedding. I get plates. I get everything. It was just the wind, the force of the wind was unbelievable. So my friend's friend brought us candles, and we had this romantic kind of dinner. And then Frank, I have pictures of him sweeping water out of the room because it was coming through the shutters.
Right.
And we got up the next day, no running water. It turned out that 450 people had died.
Wow.
But we were protected in a cove.
Wow.
And the streets to this place was closed. So we thought, okay, we get on a plane and go to Oaxaca for 4 days. And we come back, streets are open, we get on a bus, and we go to these 9 huts. And so what ended up happening was there was a mudslide. 7 of the 9 huts had gone down the mudslide, and 1 was completely damaged. So there were 7 people sleeping in 1 hut, which was going to be our honeymoon.
Wow.
So this exemplifies what I'm talking about.
Right.
How many times do you think I thank God for missing that airplane?
Sure.
So this is what I'm talking about.
Very interesting. So if you shared a message from the book, or what message you want to share, and you can look directly to the audience for those people who are watching, what message from your experiences, or do you want to share with others or hope other people learn from the book?
Okay, here's a takeaway. If extraordinary things can happen to an ordinary woman, I'm not special, I'm not a guru, I'm not a saint, just an ordinary woman, then these events are accessible to everyone. It's just a matter of being aware and paying attention.
That's a very good message. It really, really is. And quickly tell us a little bit about your second book, because that's also very interesting. I know most of this podcast is focused on the first book, but briefly go into what your second book is.
All right. As I said, I didn't want to get married, and I was successfully single until I was 45. I did not want children, but as the universe would have it, in 2011, Frank and I adopted a homeless teenager. And then all these people would tell me, oh, these things only happen to you, and you should write a book. And I'm like, I don't want to write a book. Actually, a medium told me I was going to write a book. And I argued with her. I said, that's not in the cards. I'm a people person. There's no way I'm going to, sequester myself and write a book.
Sure.
So it was 2011 again, and I was reconnecting with a childhood friend, told her my latest miracle, and she said, well, these things only happen to you. And something clicked. And I got off the phone. I said, no, wait a second. There's something's up here. So I listed as many of these events as I could in chronological order. That's when I realized that there was a coincidence that preceded each miracle, and I had taken action. And I thought, I have to share this with the world.
Right.
Well, I didn't know how to organize the book, so I kept writing and writing. And there were so many events that I thought of taking out the ones that had to do with death and after-death communication. And I will tell you what's really exciting to me is that both books now have gotten the attention of scientists.
That's fabulous.
Synchronicity is something that's trending with scientists.
What does that mean?
Well, exactly. And I was invited by this group of scientists in the UK. It's called the Scientific and Medical Network. Look it up. And they invited me to help plan and participate in the Synchronicity Summit. And I'm the only non-scientist, non-academic because of these experiences. And it was so well received, they published a book of the participants' essays, and that is called The Playful Universe. I'm chapter 17. But when you read people's essays, it's almost like religious converts, like, oh, before I really got into this, I was a materialist and I had to see to believe, but there's no doubt. And so there's this thing happening. However, they were not interested in the second book.
No.
The scientists had no problem discussing near-death experiences, but not my topic. So luckily, just before publication of my book, a new field of science has cropped up, ADC, after-death communication, and now scientists are interested.
Well, I urge people out there to read both your books. So how can people find you if they want to read your books and anything else you're doing, so you could share that with our audience as well?
Okay. You can go on my website, which is my name, sophiademas.com. And if you do, click on the pages, my influencers page. And there's 8 people that I have met, that I've had personal communications with, that I consider my mentors. And if you read just one blurb, read Abbess Ameliani. She's the nun, you can't miss her, because it's a first-hand mystical experience. And then my books are available on Amazon and bookstores, Barnes & Noble. So that's
terrific. It's quite interesting and fascinating. I didn't know a lot about coincidence and miracles, so I find that very interesting, as I'm sure the audience will. So I want to thank Sophia DEMAS for being our guest today. I urge everybody to reach out, as she indicated, and I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening or watching this episode. If you enjoyed our guest, please go to our website, awakeningsinreallife.com, where our guest shares a story different than their awakening. It's really very interesting. We also have bonus episodes where another individual tells their awakening story. Please also check out my book, Awakenings in Real Life, where I tell the story of my dad's awakening from his dementia and the message he sends that he still lives and appreciates life. It's available on Amazon and also tells other family stories. If you know of someone who wants to be a guest on the show and has an awakening, please email me at info@awakeningsinreallife.com. We're also available on social media. Please tune in to our next episode where we share another remarkable awakening story. Finally, I want to thank Jay Belsky of Flawed Media of Rockville Center, New York, who did such a great job recording this episode.